future from all corners of the world. They are the rookie class of the Firestone Indy Lights Championship. Englishman Steve Robertson has been a sensation, winning 3 races in his first season, battling neck and neck for the series title. But Robertson is not alone. The 1993 Indy Lights Series is bursting with new talent. Formula One veteran Pedro Chavez from Portugal, Norway's road racing star Harold Heisman, Sweden's Fredrik Ekblom, hard-charging Nick Firestone, and 18-year-old Canadian Greg Moore. And they all still have something to prove. Stay tuned as PBG presents the Firestone Indy Lights Championship, powered by Buick. The cool fingers of early autumn have established a grip on one of the most beautiful racing circuits in America as the runners of the Firestone Indy Lights Championship gather at Mid-Ohio for round 10 of the 1993 season. Hi again, everybody. I'm Chris McClure. Welcome to Mid-Ohio. It was at this track 1 year ago that veteran IndyCar manager Steve Horn announced that he would form an Indy Lights team and signed on Brian Herta as his primary driver. Now, 1 year later, both of those men face a moment of destiny because today, Brian Herta could clinch the 1993 championship. Coming to this race, Herta leads the championship by 47 points. And all he needs to do is leave here with a lead greater than 44, and the title will be his. Joining us once again, our racing analyst, Derek Daly. And Derek, in terms of the individual, in any racing year, the championship has obvious implications. But this year in Firestone Indy Lights, it goes beyond just Brian Herta.
That's right, and whenever a driver wins a championship, not only does he demonstrate that he possesses outright speed, but he also shows that he has racecraft, and that's a very important commodity in racing drivers these days. Now, a driver, if he wins the championship, well, he takes away $20,000 in cash. But more importantly, this year, for the very first time, he now also gets the use of a brand new Lola Indy car, which he can take to a prospective team for next year. And make no mistake about it, that is a very big bargaining tool for any driver to have in his portfolio.
But with that kind of opportunity comes a little bit of extra pressure. With more on that, here's Gary Gerald.
Well, Chris, without question, Brian Herta has responded to the pressure magnificently for the 6th time this season, starting from the pole position, looking for victory number 5. Perhaps most significantly, an opportunity to wrap up a championship today on a 1-year anniversary from the time when Steve Horn put this package together. That would carry some special significance, I'm sure.
Yeah, it sure would, and you know, we'd like to do it today, but you know, we look at it, we've got three races left and 3 opportunities to lock it up, so you know, we're going to drive a good, safe race here and try and bring it home if we can at all, and see what happens. If we get the championship today, great. Like I said, we got 3 more, though.
We wish you well.
Thanks.
Chris?
Thanks, Gary Gerald. The weather is a little bit iffy over Mid-Ohio at the moment. Cool temperatures, and a cloud cover is building. It looks like there is a chance for rain, perhaps during this coming event. Now, let's take a look at the grid. On the pole for the 6th time this year is Brian Herta from Los Angeles, California. He seeks the championship today. Flanking him on the outside, Tasman teammate Steve Robertson, a 3-time winner in 1993, and the leading point gatherer in the Rookie of the Year chase. Row number 2 on the inside, coming off a 2nd-place finish at Vancouver, Pedro Chavez. Flanking him on the outside is Nick Firestone. This position equals his best qualifying of the year. Robbie Groff is on the inside of row number 3, seeking his first win in 1993. And James Weaver is on the outside of the row, his 5th start in a limited campaign. Row 4 on the inside, coming off 2nd in Portland, is Fredrik Ekblom. Greg Moore from Canada, hoping to rebound from 18th the last race out, is on the outside of the row. Row 5 on the inside, 2nd in points. Still in range of Herta is Frank Freon. Outside the row, the Phoenix winner, Sandy Brody. Row number 6 on the inside, ran 6th in Vancouver, his best finish in Lights campaigning, Hubert Hupp. On the outside, from Monterrey, Mexico, Cesar Jimenez. Row number 7 on the inside, Mark Dismore from Greenfield, Indiana, a man who has won 14 Formula Atlantic races in his career. On the outside of the row, he ran 3rd, his first podium at Vancouver. This is Eddie Lawson. Row number 8 on the inside with 2 fourth-place finishes this year, Buzz Calkins. On the outside of the row, the second race with a new team, Harold Heisman. Row 9 on the inside, his second start this year, the 1992 Olds Pro champion Tony Abe, and a former IMSA champion Scott Schubat is on the outside of the row. At the back of the field from Indianapolis, Indiana, in the March car is Dr. Jack Miller. And Derek Daly, when you look at this Mid-Ohio race course, you find a circuit that most drivers find very interesting.
That's right. It's got a variety of mainly medium-speed corners with sudden and abrupt elevation changes. Now, it's a bit unusual, really, in as far as it demands a finesse and a rhythm to be consistently fast here at Mid-Ohio.
The field on the back straightaway where they start them at Mid-Ohio is formed up very nicely. The first 5 rows side by side as they keep an eye at the flag stand back there, manned today by Jim Swintel, who's eyeing the field. We'll see a white cone go by. There's the acceleration as they go past the cone, and Jim Swintel says, yes, indeed, we are racing. And down to a hard braking point. This will be right here, Derek Daly, a passing point throughout this race.
And this is one of the legitimate passing points because it's a long braking zone with plenty of room. But did you see the jump Brian Herta pulled over Steve Robertson? That was a lesson. I'm surprised that got let go. Well, look at Freon.
Freon, who's starting way back and just simply must win this race if he can to stay in contact in the championship, picking up some spots. On board we go with Hubert Huff coming from well back in the field. A lot of traffic in this opening lap as they head back toward the pit straight in the front of this race course.
Hubert Huff, so experienced in the German Touring Car Championship where he was contracted to Audi, now moving to the single-seaters, open-wheel cars. They're very different, and he's having a little bit of trouble just adapting his style to these new cars.
Coming back to the keyhole for the first time in the event at race speed, and look at the space that Brian Herta has drawn out in just 2/3 of a lap over his teammate Steve Robertson. Brian Herta was a barbershop champion some years back, and Derek Daly had a chance to clinch the title with 3 races to go, similar to today's situation. But he said on that day he pressed too hard for the win, went off, and stalled his championship bid until the last few laps of the final race of the year. So he won't do that in this event. And here comes Huff up on, that is Fredrik Ekblom moving up on Robbie Groff, side by side. Oh, right entering contact. End over end goes Robbie Groff up on top of the concrete, side by side, and just a little too wide, I think, for Ekblom, and they did touch. Robbie Groff in the cockpit there. You can see he is moving, but quickly on the scene, the corner workers and, of course, the IndyCar safety units who serve the Indy Lights will be on hand in just a moment. What an amazing crash in turn number 3.
And we had just mentioned that that is one of the favorite passing spots because there is room. But watch what happens here. We just mentioned open wheel single-seater racing. Ekblom is down the inside. Groff goes with him. Watch the wheels. They actually make contact. Groff's right rear. Watch it drive over Ekblom's left front. Watch the launching ramp right here.
Boom, up it goes.
There she goes. This could have been a major disaster. Total upside down, and a second time. Here's the scary bit. If he had rolled
Into that outside barrier.
into that outside, he almost went over that outside barrier. Robbie Groff is lucky that he escaped. With that, we hope he escaped. Now, in fact, there he is without serious injury.
So full course yellow, obviously the race leader Brian Herta, followed by Steve Robertson, Nick Firestone, Chavez, and James Weaver. And still moving on the course is Fredrik Ekblom. We saw him go underneath Groff's car, slide through the grass, but he has gotten it turned around and will rejoin this race when we go back to green. So he definitely gets away from a very, very close call. We'll be back to Mid-Ohio just a moment. Back in Mid-Ohio, still operating under a full course yellow following the crash between Fredrik Ekblom and Robbie Groff. Here's another look, Derek Daly, and the more we look at it, the scarier it is.
And this is definitely one of the scarier moments we've seen in the Indy Lights series for a long time.
And watch the Ekblom car go underneath. He was in great jeopardy right here, too.
Okay, when you have contact like this, it literally is a launching ramp. Ekblom goes off to the grass, Groff is now totally helpless. Remember, the energy is dissipated as the car rolls and hits the ground. Then he crashes into the guardrail. My word.
My word indeed. Meantime, in single file procession behind the pace car, Herta, Robertson, Firestone, Chavez, and Weaver looking to go back racing momentarily. And near the infield medical facility, our Gary Gerald has been able to track down Robbie Groff.
Well, obviously, Robbie Groff, this is not the way one wants to get television exposure. You have just gone through quite a harrowing experience, but fortunately, you appear to be fine. Tell us how you feel and what you remember of that dramatic incident.
I feel fine, thanks, and I just remember going upside down and telling myself I wish it would stop, but I'm fine now.
Does this at all curb your desire to want to get back into a race car, or is it too early to think about those things, or are you able to just shake it off?
No, not at all. You know, being a race car driver is one of those professions that someone told you it was dangerous before you took the job, so it's part of the business, and I have no problems getting back in a car. You know, it's part of being a race car driver.
Well, here's the safer days ahead.
Thank you.
All right. Chris?
The picture speaks volumes. Apparently still fit after the horrifying crash is Robbie Groff. We're at Mid-Ohio and Brian Herta leads it. We'll get back to race tempo in a moment. The Premium Design Award goes to the car and team of number 2, Pedro Chavez. The young man who started in 3rd position. He hails from Porto, Portugal. The car is prepared by the Brian Stewart Racing Team, Castro, Fly to Porto, Lola Buick. Congratulations to all of them on a nice season. This fellow is still in range to win the Rookie of the Year. Brian Herta on the point. Pedro Chavez holding the 4th position at Firestone just behind him, and they charge the line. Brian Herta is leading the charge into turn number 1. Second to Robertson.
Believe it or not, on the way around to pick up that green flag, Nick Firestone, in his aggressive tire warming maneuvers, actually flew off the road.
So that gives 3rd place to Chavez, and James Weaver is up to the 4th position, 13th position now for Nick Firestone. So a bobble there, and he is out of contention all of a sudden, at least a long way to go to get back to the front. And now they work through the quickest part of the course. Back through 4th is Stable, but Frank Freon has a move in mind. He goes into the braking zone and sweeps by Greg Moore, picking up the 5th position. Moore now back to 6th. Also a battle for position here. Hubert Huff, the 10 car, under attack from Mark Dismore, and joining in the fight is Tony Abe as they exit the turn at the hill.
Look at Tony Abe. Hangs onto that car as it oversteers, exiting turn 1. Here comes Dismore.
Dismore working on Huff as they come up to the keyhole. He's got position on the inside of the turn. Right on his hip is Abe, and side by side just behind them are 2 other cars, including Nick Firestone. Now the speed section. This could get interesting at the end of the straightaway.
Well, it was very interesting there because, oh, look at this. Tony Abe's on the grass and on the dirt, kicks up dirt and dust everywhere. But we saw contact again with Nick Firestone and Eddie Lawson. Look at this. Oh, there's got to be contact. There is.
And wings come flying off. I'm not sure which car lost. It looked like Abe's colors as that part came flying out of the group. Also off, that is Dismore in trouble. He may be able to regain the racing surface, and the engine is still fired, so he'll rejoin the race. Wild and Woolly, the front end of Abe's car is what did come out of that group. Jimenez moves through him, and there's no downforce on the front for Abe anymore.
And he will be a lot slower now. In fact, he'd probably have to go to the pits because that car will be so-so. Look at Eddie Lawson just crawling all over him. And there's Freddie Ekblom, also makes a pass. But Lawson, oh, he has to give... Oh, look at this.
And Abe takes Lawson to the grass as he moved to the left, perhaps to give room to Ekblom on the inside, and not knowing Lawson was there. Anyway, Lawson, now he's stuck in the grass, spinning the tires. Maybe he won't be able to get out of there.
Keep her going. I think he just stalled the engine. Here's the replay. Now, that's Tony Abe in the blue car down the inside. Now, there's not much room down there. That's Hubert Huff right ahead of him. Lawson comes down the outside. Now, Abe makes contact with Mark Dismore. You can see that. Gets out of control and carries Lawson off the racetrack with him.
So mayhem in mid-pack at Mid-Ohio, and back up front, comfortably in the lead, relatively so, is Brian Herta. And the 11th lap of the race, 34 are scheduled, and there has been some reported moisture from above in the area. Moisture that has been going on the racetrack, so we'll keep a keen eye on that. Meantime, a moment for our Buick mid-race update. Brian Herta, in search of the title, is leading. Then Robertson, Chavez, Freon, and Greg Moore. In 6th position is Sandy Brody. Harold Heisman runs 7th, and Nick Firestone. Pup holding on to 9th, then Cesar Jimenez. Ekblom, Calkin, Schubat, Jack Miller, and Tony Abe take us through 15. Then Weaver, Lawson, Dismore, and Groff. Get Mid-Ohio to the end of the straightaway. Nick Firestone moves to the right-hand side and gets through Greg Moore. Look at the smoke from the back as he brings hard into the turn. So Firestone takes the 5th position away from Greg Moore. Look at Frank Freon leaning on the car, nearly sideways, and Firestone right up behind him. Frank Freon, second in the point. Model of consistency in 93. He's finished 8 of 9 races. Only got 1 win, though. He's scored regularly, but just not quite enough.
Not enough, but he's going to have enough on his plate in about half a lap because Nick Firestone is going to turn up the heat in the pressure cooker here because he wants that 4th place that Freon has. A great run for Firestone after that earlier mistake under yellow before they came round after Robbie Groff crashed.
Firestone's been on the podium this year. He ran a nice 2nd earlier in the season at Milwaukee. Last time out at Vancouver, qualified 4th, finished 4th. And he looks to improve that here today. He's right up to Freon now as they come up to the keyhole. Will he try the outside lane? And yes! Wow! Did he get through as they entered that turn?
Such a difficult move to pull off to go around the outside of somebody in the braking zone in such a tight keyhole corner, and then if you turn in and still stay on line. Good move by Nick Firestone yet again.
Back up front we go on board with Brian Herta. And at this point, with the standings in the race at this moment, he will be the champion. If he sustains this, it's him.
Right now he is 61 points ahead of Frank Freon, and as Freon has his troubles and drops down the order here, it makes things easier for Brian Herta. But the chances are the champagne for the championship may be in Brian Herta's fist right at the end of this event.
Battle for 8th position is being joined. Ekblom, the 11th car, on the attack against Hubert Hope. Very close they are, again, to the braking zone. Ekblom to the right, takes a peek. Will not try it this time through there. He's got a lot of turns to work with, just ahead.
He has them. Here are some of the tremendous elevation changes that we talked about on the track description. You go all the way to the bottom of the hill here, and watch what happens here. Look at the elevation change. Go over the top of the hill, back down again. Not quite yet, but he turns right here. He goes over one of the most difficult parts of the racetrack. The car gets very light, gets sideways. This Buick horsepower sometimes spins the rear wheel there, and look, he goes uphill again. Just a tremendous elevation change road track here, and I would have to say, probably one of the more enjoyable racetracks that drivers come to race on during the season. Look at Pedro Chavez all over the curve in his attempt to catch up with Robertson.
While each lap he is losing just a little bit to the 2 in front of him, Herta and Robertson. Running a good solid 3rd place right now. 13 behind Robertson, but 20 seconds ahead of Greg Moore in the 4th position. So he's very comfortable all alone on the racetrack. Back with the closing laps of this classic at Mid-Ohio in just a moment. Now Chris McClure along with Derek Daly. And the white flag up front flies over the 2 Tasman cars of Brian Herta in 1st place and Steve Robertson in 2nd spot. The difference between the 2 is measured at just over 1 second. You can see on the racetrack a matter of a few car lengths, but Brian Herta, an impressive drive from the pole position. He has got the bonus point for leading the most laps. Robertson can still win this race, but either way, Derek Daly, there is going to be a championship awarded in Mid-Ohio today, and what a day for Tasman once again.
And Brian High-Speed Herta looks as if he will taste that champagne today. Just a great season. We said it in the opening. Racecraft and consistency is what Brian Herta has added to his driving talent. We know how
Robertson closes even further. He did not want to go to the last 2 races or the last race before he finished it off. He's in his final turn. He's about to see the flag stand. Up the hill he goes through the gearbox, and Brian Herta lays claim to his 5th victory of the 1993 campaign. In the top 4 in 9 of 10 races, he is the champion. Second to Steve Robertson. Chavez will finish 3rd in just a few moments. Is he happy?
And look at this, 2 hands off the wheel. He wants to get out of that car and celebrate with every member of the crew, and it looks like every member of the public that are out here watching it. Brian Herta, congratulations, a tremendous season.
So he finishes in front. Then Robertson, Chavez, Moore, and Nick Firestone. Frank Freon finishes in 6th. Then Heisman, Ekblom, Hupp, Jimenez, Schubert, Miller, Hawkins, Brody, Tony Ave, James Weaver. 17th place to Eddie Lawson. Mark Dismore did not finish. He's in 18th. And Robbie Groff, the final spot, 19th. After that terrible crash, he is indeed all right. Now let's go downstairs on the front straightaway and meet the winner and the champion, Gary Gerould.
Well, Chris, at the start of this show, we talked about pressure and how Brian Herta has responded. And how's this for an answer? What are the emotions like as you savor a championship right now?
Oh, God, I just couldn't feel better. The best race I drove all year. Steve pushed me really hard, and I was just flat out from green to checkered. So I really got to thank Crane and Shovel Sales, Dick and Mary Lepla, My Life Card, all the great sponsors we've got, and especially my whole crew and team, Steve Horner's Tasman Motorsports Group. Yeah, this is their championship. I mean, they just kept giving me good cars, and I couldn't be happier. We're going to have some fun tonight.
And you're going to have some fun. We look forward to seeing you next year when you step up to the IndyCar ranks.
All right, yeah, I can't wait either.
All right, congratulations, Brian.
Thanks, Gary.
The Buick Power Move of the Race Award goes this time to number 23, Nick Firestone, who's been dramatically improved the last few races. Trying to climb back up through the field after going off in the grass, Firestone attacks Frank Freon. A difficult and resourceful pass to the outside line through the right-hand sweeping turn. It's pulled off beautifully by Firestone, earning him the Buick Power Move Award. So the standings after 10 events of 1993, Brian Herta is the champion, too far in front of Freon, Robertson, and the others to be caught. There is still at issue the Rookie of the Year award with $10,000 to the winner, $5,000 to second place. Robertson remains in control of that, but Chavez and others can still catch him before it's all done. Travel services have been provided by IndyCar Travel, the official travel agency of the Firestone Indy Lights Championship. Once again, congratulations to the 1991 of Story.